Section 94. Janamejaya said, O adorable one, I desire to hear the histories of those kings who were descended from Puru. O tell me of each, as he was possessed of prowess and achievements. I have indeed heard that in Puru's line there was not a single who was wanting in good behavior and prowess, or who was without sons, who thought of ascetic wealth. I desire to hear the histories in detail of those famous monarchs, endued with learning and all accomplishments. Vaisampayana said, Asked by thee, I shall tell thee all about the heroic kings in Puru's line, all equal unto Indra in prowess, possessing great affluence and commanding the respect of all for their accomplishments. Puru had by his wife Paushti 3 sons, Pravira, Ishwara and Raudraswa, all of whom are mighty car warriors. Amongst them, Pravira was the perpetrator of the dynasty. Pravira had by his wife Suraseni a son named Manashu, and the latter of eyes like lotus petals had his sway over the whole earth, bounded by the 4 seas. And the Manashu had for his wife Sauviri, and he begot upon her 3 sons, called Sakta, Sahana, and Vagmi, and they were heroes in battle and mighty car warriors. The intelligent and virtuous Kaudrashva begot upon the Apsara Mishrakeshi 10 sons, who were all great women, and they all grew up into heroes, performing numerous sacrifices in honor of the gods. And they all had sons, were learned in all branches of knowledge, and ever devoted to virtue. They are Richeyu, and Kaksheyu, and Vrikeyu of great prowess, Standhileyu, and Vaneyu, and Jaleyu of great fame, Tejeyu of great strength and intelligence, and Satyeyu, of the prowess of Indra, Dharmeyu and Sanatheyu, the 10th of the prowess of the celestials. Amongst them all, Richeyu became the sole monarch of the whole earth, and was known by the name of Annadrishti, and in prowess he was like unto Vasava among the celestials. And Annadrishti had a son of the name of Matinara, who became a famous and virtuous king, and performed the Rajasuya and the horse sacrifice. And Matinara had 4 sons of immeasurable prowess, viz. Tansu, Mahat, Atirata, and Drahyu of immeasurable glory. Amongst them, Tansu of great prowess became the perpetrator of Puru's line, and he subjugated the whole earth and acquired great fame and splendor. And Tansu begat a son of great prowess named Ilina, and he became the foremost of all conquerors, and brought the whole world under his subjection. And Ilina begat upon his wife Ratnatarya 5 sons with Dushmanta at their head, all equal in might unto the 5 elements. They were Dushmanta, Sura, Bhima, Pravashu, and Vasu. And O Janamejaya, the eldest of them, Dushmanta, became king, and Dushmanta had by his wife Shakuntala an intelligent son named Bharata, who became king. And Bharata gave his name to the race of which he was the founder, and it is from him that the fame of that Bharata dynasty hath spread so wide. And Bharata begat upon his 3 wives 9 sons in all, but none of them was like their father, and so Bharata was not at all pleased with them. Their mothers therefore became angry and slew them all. The procreation of children by Bharata therefore became vain. The monarch then performed a sacrifice and through grace of Bharadwaja obtained a son named Bhumanyu, and then Bharata, the great descendant of Puru, regarding himself as really possessing a son, installed, O foremost one of Bharata's race. That son has his heir apparent, and Bhumanya begat upon his wife Pushkarini 6 sons, named Suhotra, Suhotri, Suhavi, Suyaju, and Divirata. The eldest of them all is Suhotra, obtained the throne and performed many Rajasuyas and horse sacrifice. And Suhotra brought under his sway the whole earth, surrounded by her belt of seas, and full of elephants, kine, and horses, and all our wealth of gems of gold. And the earth, afflicted with the weight of numberless human beings, and elephant, horses, and cars, and was as it were about to sink. And during the virtuous reign of Suhotra, the surface of the whole earth was dotted all over with hundreds and thousands of sacrificial stakes. And the Lord of earth, Suhotra, begat upon his wife Aikshaki 3 sons, viz. Ajamina, Sumida, and Purumida. The eldest of them, Ajamida, was the perpetrator of the royal line, and he begat 6 sons. Riksha was born of the womb of Dumini, Dushmanta, and Parameshthin, of Neeli and Jahniyu. Jala and Rupina were born in that of Keshini. All the tribes of the Panchals are descended from Dushmanta and Parameshthin, and the Kaushikas are the sons of Janyu, of immeasurable prowess. And Riksha, who was elder than both Jala and Rupina, became king. And Riksha begat Samvarna, the perpetuator of the royal line. And O king, it hath been heard by us that while Samvarna, the son of Riksha, was ruling the earth, there happened a great loss of people from famine, pestilence, drought, and disease. And the Bharata princes were beaten by the troops of enemies. And the Panchalas, setting out to invade the whole earth with their 4 kinds of troops, soon brought the whole earth under their sway. And with their 10 Akshwahinis, the king of Panchalas defeated the Bharata prince. Samvarana, then with his wife and ministers, sons and relatives, fled in fear and took shelter in the forest on the banks of the Sindhu, extending to the foot of the mountains. There the Bharatas lived for a full 1,000 years within their fort, and after they had lived there 1,000 years, one day the illustrious Rishi Vasishta approached the exiled Bharatas, who on going out saluted the Rishi and worshipped him by the offer of Arghya, and entertaining him with reverence, they represented everything unto that illustrious Rishi. And after he was seated on his seat, the king himself approached the Rishi and addressed him, saying, Be thou our priest, O illustrious one. We will endeavor to regain our kingdom. And Vasishta answered the Bharatas by saying, Om, the sign of consent. It hath been heard by us that Vasishta then installed the Bharata prince in the sovereignty of all the Kshatriyas on earth, making by virtue of his mantras this descendant of Puru the veritable horns of the wild bull or the tusks of the wild elephant. And the king retook the capital that had been taken away from him, and once more made all monarchs pay tribute to him. The powerful Samvarana, thus installed once more in the actual sovereignty of the whole earth, performed many sacrifices at which the presents to the Brahmanas were great. Samvarana begat upon his wife Tapati, the daughter of Surya, a son named Kuru. This Kuru was exceedingly virtuous. Therefore, he was installed on the throne by his people. It is after his name that the field called Kuru Jangala has become so famous in the world, devoted to asceticism. He made that field Kurukshetra sacred by practicing asceticism there, and it has been heard by us that Kuru's highly intelligent wife, Vahini, brought forth 5 sons, viz. Avikshit, Abhishat, Chastrarata, Muni, and the celebrated Janamejaya. And Avikshit begat Parikshit, the powerful, Savaloswa, Adiraja, Veeraja, Palmali of the great physical strength, Uchchaisravas, Bangakara, and Jitari, the 8th. The race of these were born as the fruit of their pious acts 7 mighty car warriors with Janamejaya at their head, and unto Parikshit were born sons who were all acquainted with the secrets of the religion and prophet, and they were named Kakshasena and Ugrasena and Chitrasena, endued with great energy, and Indrasena and Sushena and Bhimasena. And the sons of Janamejaya were all endued with great strength and became celebrated all over the world. And they were Dhritarashtra, who was the eldest, and Pandu, and Valhika, and Nishada, endued with great energy, and then the mighty Jamvunada, and then Kundodara, and Padati, and then Vasati, the 8th. And they were all proficient in morality and profit, and were kind to all creatures. Among them Dhritarashtra became king, and Dhritarashtra had 8 sons, viz. Kundika, Asti, Vitarka, Krata, the 5th, Ahvitsravas, Indraba, and Bhumanyu, the invincible. And Dhritarashtra had many grandsons, of whom 3 only were famous. They were O King, Pratipa, Dharmanetra, Sunetra. Among these last 3, Pratipa became unrivaled on earth. And O Bull, in Bharata's race, Pratipa begat 3 sons, viz. Devapi, Santanu, and the mighty car warrior Valhika. The eldest Devapi adopted the ascetic course of life, impelled thereto by the desire of benefiting his brothers, and the kingdom was obtained by Santanu and the mighty car warrior Valhika. O monarch, besides there were born in the race of Bharata numberless other excellent monarchs, endued with great energy, and like unto the celestial rishis themselves in virtue and ascetic power. And so also in the race of Manu were born many mighty car warriors, like unto the celestials themselves, who by their number swelled the Haila dynasty into gigantic proportions. So ends the 94th section in the Sambhava Parva of the Adi Parva.